Greetings, class. If you've somehow stumbled into my disheveled classroom, then that can only mean two things. One, you're lost, or two, you're an aspiring survivor main looking for assistance from the wrong person. If you're here for reason one, killer main classes taught by survivors are just down the hall. I'm pretty sure the Blight is subbing in for that class today, so you can pass on that one if you'd like. If you're here for reason two, you've come to the wrong place, but unfortunately for you, there's no turning back now. So let's buckle up and get started. So you want to become a survivor main for Dead by Daylight. I see. I can assist you in this, but first, we'll have to go over a few terms that will be constantly used throughout your survivor career. So let's get right to that. So for starters, let us begin with tunneling. Tunneling is typically a term used to describe when a killer focuses on only killing a single survivor to thin the team as fast as possible. However, you can use this phrase anytime you'd like to describe a killer who's relatively done anything successful in a trial. Downed you after two of your teammates have already been down first? Tunneling. Found you doing a generator and initiated a chase? Tunneling. Existing on the same plane of existence as you? Tunneling. The list goes on, but this will typically be your most used word throughout playing Survivor. Keep it close, because it will be your best friend. Phrase number 2. Camping. Typically used to describe when a killer stands directly next to a survivor that they've just hooked in order to prevent the survivor from being rescued. However, just like tunneling, this phrase has many uses. Your friend just rescued you and the killer comes back to apply pressure? Camping. Killer grabbing somebody trying to unhook you because they saw scratch marks? Camping. Killer merely checking by the hook because they know survivors will come to rescue eventually? Camping. Much like tunneling, you'll use this phrase often, and you'll definitely take away the pride of any killer who 4K'd your team. And finally, phrase 3. Overpowered. Typically used to describe when the killer has some ability add-on and or perk that gives them a distinct advantage that feels uncounterable. To be expected by this point, you may use this word as casual jargon in the post-game chats as much as you please. Killer pulled a mind game on you? That killer's overpowered. You made a mistake and the killer took advantage of it? Killer's overpowered. Killer brings broken add-ons and uses them against you? Well, actually, I kind of agree with this one. Nobody likes playing against an iridescent head infantry belt huntress. Okay, now that you're familiar with your survivor terms, let's move on and learn how to actually play a survivor. For starters, survivors have to finish repairing 5 generators in order to power exit gates to facilitate their escape. However, this is commonly confused that the fact that the survivors need to repair these generators to escape. This is not true. You don't. A little known fact is, a hatch opens when you're the last survivor alive. Use this to your advantage, and don't work on generators, so you don't draw any attention to yourself. Your team may not approve of this strategy, but it's merely because they want the hatch for themselves, and are trying to make you aggro the killer, to take the weight off of them. Do not heed their advice, simply hide in the corner until the hatch opens and victory is yours. And don't forget, if the killer finds you while you're hiding, they're tunneling. Secondly, you might find yourself in a situation where the killer does eventually find you, and begins what I like to call the tunneling process. Do not be afraid in this situation. All you have to do to escape is hold the shift and the W key. Survivors actually run faster than one of the killers, meaning that killer has no way of catching you, as long as you move in an unwavered straight line. The AS and D keys do not exist to help you. As a matter of fact, they should be avoided at all costs because they stop you from moving forward. And why would you want to move backwards when a killer is chasing you? If you happen to be hit by the killer, which means that they're probably tunneling and camping, do not be afraid. As a survivor, you have the strength to take 10 entire hits. Your impressive strength has gifted you the ability of making your body as hard as steel. So run straight at the killer, and feel free to taunt them if you wish. I mean, what are they going to do about it? Finally, you may see windows and wooden pallets throughout the environment. Unfortunately, these are mostly for decoration and cannot be interacted with. Your fellow survivors will tell you otherwise, but this is simply a trick. Remember, the golden rule of Dead by Daylight is to never trust a survivor. As a final note, occasionally you'll find piles of bones throughout the maps, often referred to as totems. Touching these is an extremely dangerous idea. Most of the time it'll cause you to be insta-downed after breaking them. Especially avoid the glowing ones, those are the most dangerous. However, if you're playing against a spirit, break these totems immediately. Her hex benefits her greatly while the totem is still active. Break it as soon as possible, and ideally break it while the spirit is nearby. And that concludes today's lesson. Come back next time in which we discuss why survivors are not powerful enough, and killers need to be nerfed into the ground.
Dismissed!
Oh, and by the way, always run no mither and self-care.